regular people online started thinking their opinions mattered, right? And I read all of it, okay? Read a bad thing, had to stay online till I found a good thing. Bad thing, she can't act. Good thing, yeah, she's old, but I'd still do her.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Comeback Official Podcast. I'm Evan Ross Katz. This podcast has been for the fans who love the comeback, who quote it, who study it, who feel seen by it. And today we say goodbye to the season, to this run, and to the magic of doing this every week. Once again, I'm joined by the artist who built this world from the inside out.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kudrow.
And hi, I'm Michael Patrick King.
And is the mood somber or excited?
Somber.
Somber.
I mean, we're happy that where we landed with Valerie. It was a very big ask for us to figure out where we wanted to bring her, and we landed. So I'm happy that we did that.
Yeah, me too.
First, we're going to talk about the finale, but later we'll talk to Dan Bukatinsky, who plays the self-obsessed but lovable Billy. This episode is called Valerie Cherish. It was written by Michael Patrick King and Lisa Kudrow and directed by Michael Patrick King. If you haven't watched this episode yet, what are you doing? Go watch it on HBO Max, then come right back here.
Can I tell you about the title?
Please.
We were in the writing room, and every episode of the entire comeback has been Valerie something, Valerie something, Valerie this, Valerie. And Lisa looks at me after we got to where we wanted to get to, and she said the name of this episode is
Valerie Cherish, period. So.
It says it all to us. This is it. This defines her. This is her episode.
It's such a unique circumstance to write a second series finale, and what a joy for us. What was the approach to writing the series finale this time?
I don't feel we wrote a series finale for the second season.
Yeah, we did.
Did you? I felt we wrote the story finale.
Well.
We weren't thinking, oh, we're going to come back again, so we did end it well.
Yeah, but it also worked as a series finale.
Lisa and I knew where we wanted to end when we started, which is Valerie sort of reveals her true self that she's always been, but now you're able to see it that you couldn't see 21 years ago.
Yeah. And, you know, we had been talking when we were first talking about, you know, this season, and something came back to me, which was when we were doing the first season, people would, you know, so cringe, and I had to watch it like this, and actors and everybody would say, how hard that must have been for you to do, to act, to be, to play. And I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. Hard? Nothing was hard. Valerie felt zero pain. Something would happen, she didn't like it, or it was mean, and she would just flip it into a different, it means something, oh, I'm having a bad day. All right, not my fault, you know. That delusional thing that was killing everybody. But I didn't feel a shred of dread or threat or sinking or depression or humiliation or any of that. So it just, we talked about that a little bit. And then one day we were talking and it was, you know, oh, you know, you have to sign up for you have to agree to be humiliated. And Valerie never signed up for that.
The whole goal was to slowly show people who Valerie really was inside from the beginning.
And it's interesting because it can be framed in a way where you look at it through the perspective of Valerie's growth throughout this season. But there's another way of looking at it, which is this is who Valerie's always been. It's just revealed itself more through the events of this season. And I think both interpretations have validity.
Oh yeah, there's a growth like crazy in the Brandon stuff when we get to that. There is so much Valerie growth in those scenes.
There's been growth in the world, though also. Valerie, the problem in season one was, why doesn't she keep her mouth shut? Like, she is not invited to participate in this. You know, and then the world keeps changing, and of course you're allowed to say something. And she just calls things the way she sees them a little more. Valerie creates her own reality,
Yeah.
which I think now people are starting to understand, or a little open to accepting as a viable coping mechanism and possibility for moving through life.
And also people creating their own agency. Like, I stand up for me. That's now considered something not cringe, but noble in
Yeah.
a little bit.
Really resonant characters can leave an imprint on us. I'm wondering for you both, is there any way in which Valerie as a character has impacted how you look at the world, how you move through life, anything about her that is imprinted on you?
I know one thing is, season 1 comes in with balloons to say, yay, we got nothing. You know, like some award that
People's
doesn't, we
Choice
got a
Award.
People's Choice Award. And Pauly G pops a balloon with his cigarette. Well, she fully feels and sees that as, that's his problem. That's his bad. He's not right. I'm going to still express joy and celebrate anything. Morale's important, and so you celebrate the wins. You know, that sort of thing is like, what can be wrong with that?
I mean, the fact that she keeps going is so important to anyone who is in this business, because look at the comeback story itself is a lesson. We were canceled, and here we are talking about the series finale 21 years later. That's an amazing gift to just keep going. But I'm very grateful for Valerie's cautionary tale of letting go of real life in pursuit of a spotlight. Your home will fall apart, or your marriage will, or your dreams will. You know?
She also didn't know she had so much more to offer than just better be relevant and get back in the spotlight. There was more
Right.
than that.
Can I tell you both one of the biggest joys for me about this process with you both? I love how much you two make each other laugh.
Oh my God.
It's so fun just to experience the laughter between the two of you and see how much fun you both are having. It's obviously evident in the show you created, but how the process can also be joyful and funny, and how it finds its way onto the screen.
The process is all joyful and funny. Just lines that we have to stop and literally put our head on the table, we're laughing. Seeing Valerie appear in Lisa's consciousness and say something, I start laughing at the wave coming up because I can feel it. It's unbelievable. And yeah, there's technique, enormous technique somehow leaking in. But mostly it's just, how can we get this moment in the show so that people can laugh at this? We will bend metal to get a laugh or a Valerie moment in. It's really been a laugh and great.
Can you give me an example in this finale of a moment in the process of making it that you were like, this has to go in?
Space Wars.
Because what if there's space wars, and someone shoots the satellites out of the sky in space? Who's going to write the sitcoms then?
Valerie says, what about Space Wars? Because they hit a paywall and Alice's just shut down because they ran out of money allotted by the studio. And Valerie has to justify how Evan has to pitch in and save the day. And he says they'll get all these glitches figured out and there won't be any more problems. And in the room, Lisa went, well, what if there's a space war in space? And I was just like, stop, Space Wars. That has to be in the show. Valerie saying Space Wars to Evan, and he kind of lightens up like he's a little bit of you could think maybe he's a Star Wars freak. You know, he sort of clicks in for a minute, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Just for a minute.
That's
like,
what I love about his look is you're not sure whether he's thinking, yes, that's a distinct possibility, go on, or whether he's saying like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Or like, you got me. Like Space Wars.
Yes.
And that's a moment for me.
So I want to talk about Valerie bringing her Emmy to set and the comedic beat of it falling off the table, PDP's breakdown. But within all of that is this tremendous moment for Valerie. And we've been talking about the growth of the character throughout this season, but in the larger arc of the series. And I think this really is one of those underlined moments when Valerie says, "It broke, it's fine, it's just a talisman, and it served its purpose."
Did she say talisman?
She says towelsman.
It's just a talisman.
It's just a talisman, okay? And it served its purpose.
You think the camera's gonna pan to a very worried Valerie, but she's able to get to the next phase quicker, to the resolve, there will be a way to fix it. And as she says, it's just a talisman.
Right. And reminds everybody that this thing represents the night my husband and I reconciled. We ran into each other at the hospital visiting a dear friend, and that's reminded me what's important,
Right.
relationships. And, that's real. Until she hears found someone that can fix it. Great, see, woo, okay.
And then also but just
important
pointing
thing.
out, I was being real.
But I was ready to let it go, and that's what's important.
Yes.
And also there's another weird surprise there is when her Emmy breaks, PDP is so upset that Valerie chooses to take care of him first. There's a big difference between season 1 of this show and this season, because when they get that pickup from Brandon for season 2, they're all excited, and Frank says, "You did this for us. You." That's everyone recognizing she's the hero. She executive produced. She made it happen. And what does Valerie do? You. She gives it back to them. But it's a big thing that the entire cast sees her as the reason they've had success.
Right. And I feel like we started to feel that shift in the last episode where things started to turn, but all sort of comes to bear in this episode and seeing Valerie fully come into her power.
Yeah.
Which leads us to this Jack Stevens character. Jack Stevens in the world of Hollywood is the biggest of the big wigs, played by the incredible Bradley Whitford. And he wants to meet with Valerie. We then see Adam Scott and Justin Theroux, the big three.
Valerie! Hey! Jack Stevens, thanks for coming. This is Ben Morrow and Matt Wright.
Whoa, you know my name?
I love that they're referred to as the Mount Rushmore of television.
Writers.
And they have a plea for Valerie. They need Valerie to help save them. And so can you talk about that scene and everything that they wanted from Valerie and Valerie's thought process walking into that room?
She's very excited. Jack Stevens just wants to say hi, and she's imagining a little like, "Congratulations on your show. That's amazing. So what's it like? Tell us what AI is like." Ooh, Yoda, you have so much to teach us. It might be what she's expecting from him, and then sees that it's the Mount Rushmore and gets a little nervous because now what do they all want to say hi? Okay, that's nice, but she doesn't trust it.
She doesn't. And first of all, the idea that there are 3 stars in there, it's a trick, because what you get from those 3 actors is gravitas. We wanted the density of their presence to be to Valerie what seeing those 3 actors might be to the audience. Like, ooh, this is an important scene, because it's important Valerie's walking into their den.
We need you to speak out on behalf of writers.
Not so much a plea as a demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear really early that they've got a demand of her, as if they have a right.
And they're all 3 different types. Bradley Whitford playing Jack Stevens. It's his room, it's his office. He's the grand dame of them. Adam's playing Matt Wright, who is the comedy writer with the nervous jokes. And then Justin as Ben Morrow, who feels like a little bit like the serious writer. And the 3 of them present to her, "You need to do this for us."
You need to stop AI. You need to let the word out that AI is a bad thing, because here's how it affects writers. Not us, but writers. We're fine, but writers.
Yeah.
We take care of writers.
They're telling her, speak for writers, but if she does, she's shooting herself.
Right. And also as a reminder for folks, her experience with writers throughout this series has been tenuous at best, but her last experience was them attacking her.
But those were mere mortals. This is Mount Olympus.
Yes.
These are the hirers. These are the people that she said in the first episode,
They're going to hate me.
writers need to like me in order to work. And here they are. the big three. The reason this scene is in the show is one particular thing that Lisa says, which is, my little show is the end of everything. The idea that this multi-camera comedy is now the extinction event.
To me, she's really walking a tightrope and very kindly. And the only way you are allowed to speak to people like this for her is, yeah, well, okay, so if I do that, then, then what? What am I saying? You wouldn't like that, actors on your show.
And then the Adam Scott character says the thing, really.
We're people and we work really hard, but I mean, your show's different. Your writer's a machine who plagiarizes other writers' scripts in a nanosecond without thoughts or feelings.
Which then leads us to this meeting, this press event that she has with Brandon Wallach. But before the event is her conversation with Brandon, in which Valerie spills the beans on the fact that, listen, these three guys were trying to throw us under the bus, which presents to us as the viewer of, okay, Valerie's going to choose her show. Ultimately, like, Valerie's going to make this choice.
She's showing off. I stood up for our show against the big three, and that'll win me points with the head of the network. And instead, it causes him to implode.
And he says, everybody wants me dead.
Huh?
I mean,
Okay.
just the
shouldn't have told you. Oops. Yeah.
I mean, the environment was really important too, because
that place.
you're leaving the room where you have the big three writers, and that's Warner Brothers, and it's all wood and the old 1930s deco desks and the framed Hollywood things and the sunlight and the warmth of old Warner Brothers, old Hollywood. And then you move into the future, which is NewNet, which is Gattaca. It's really like gray, soundless, quiet. And that is the Frank Gehry building that is right off Warner Brothers. So it's part of Warner Brothers, but it's the new Warner Brothers. And just the cold grayness, and he's wearing gray, and concrete pillars.
Enormous pillars.
Enormous pillars. We wanted it to be an open concept workplace so that in the current workplace, feelings are not allowed. So we want this cool gray character to be suddenly hurt. That people don't like, that he knows people are talking bad about him.
But I loved that he's saying, you don't know what they're saying about me out there. And she has just been through what they've been saying about her. Like, okay, yeah. It's on you.
And
she does know.
He has to hide in a corner like a trapped animal because he can't rant. So it's quiet and he's looking for Nicorette. He's a phenomenal actor. And so then he just started to unravel what was underneath there. And I thought that's a reason that Andrew's in the show, to show what's beyond the composure.
This could really use a hug.
Oh, okay.
But this is an open concept working environment, so
Right.
can't get a hug.
Yeah, right.
It's inappropriate. Yeah, well, consider yourself hugged.
In what moment did Valerie make the decision to jump ship, essentially, that made her say, I can't do this?
At the press conference, he said, we're not done with auteurs, and, we need geniuses to write culture-defining shows. We can afford that because AI can write the sitcoms. We don't need genius. AI's got that.
He says, easy peasy. When you see Valerie here, easy peasy, after what she's just been through, he's insulting sitcoms, not Valerie. And she won't have it.
She also...
That's her trigger.
But she also is planning on second season. She was going to talk to him. She wants to talk to him about getting a showrunner. She'll need a writer or two. She's just signed one, and then he's saying, nope, don't need anything good. To the press, he's saying it. It's like it's written in stone now.
What's it like working with AI?
Well, I'm not there day to day. Valerie, what's it like?
And she starts off, it's good, it's fast, and then she just decides to be honest.
Yeah.
She's just going to be honest.
And a studio head does not want to hear the word paywall. And that was something that came out of our research, paywalls, is how expensive AI is, how much they've allotted per project for a certain amount, and there's an actual stop. the cap that gets put on it. So paywall, and you just see Brandon sort of smooth his hair.
Oh, I was going to say tracking Andrew Scott's performance throughout was so interesting because he's so uncomfortable, but he's also on camera in that moment. So he has to hold it together. But I think he sees what this moment is going to do for him and this company.
Yeah.
After the press conference, Valerie follows Brandon upstairs for a final scene. And immediately it's sort of the air is sucked out of the room. And it was so interesting to then watch what transpired between the two of them because Valerie really held her ground.
Yeah, I just had to put some Nicorette in my mouth because I'm not a machine.
Valerie
Yeah.
stands up to him because of what she's been through. And there's an important sentence. She says, "You told me that I knew more about sitcoms than anyone." And she said, "I don't know if that was true then, but it is now. And I might be the only one who knows how to do this."
Right.
So she's just telling him the truth.
And I'm telling you, as the person who knows the most about this, I need a showrunner and we need writers because AI alone can't do it. And he says, no, that's not going to happen.
And Lisa made sure that there was a line in this scene where she says, "You may say that they're easy and not important, but sitcoms have been culture defining when they're good." And that's important. But he's just throwing it out like, oh, it's just a machine can write it. And Valerie won't have it. And then when he finally says, "We're not looking for great, we're just looking for good enough that people leave it on while they do whatever."
That's kind of enraging or devastating. But then she lets him have it.
And then she quits. She says, "I'm not going to do it." The big, actress thing. "I'm not going to do it."
Right.
And he says, "Okay. Digital Valerie will." Wow. That's where it becomes the sci-fi.
Yeah.
You've been replaced by a machine. That's you. It's very much a standoff. She says to him, "I take it back. You are a villain."
Well, he also says, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And because she says, "You look out for your job." And he says, he knows. So he's just, "I'm looking after myself." And then she quotes that famous saying.
When they came for the writers, you said, okay. When they came for the actors, you said, sure. And when they come for you, there won't be anybody left to say, okay, sure.
When we were on the filming it, and she says her big goodbye speech and leaves, I thought, uh-oh, Valerie's out of the show now. She quit. And I said to Lisa, she can't be out of the show. There has to be a tension. In the next scene, people will think she quit. So we put in,
And I'll call you tomorrow to tell you my decision.
she walks it back because that's Valerie.
And tell you what I decide.
Right.
Muddy it up and make
Yeah.
it human and messy and, dare I say it, the C word, cringe.
Cringe. So what's so lovely then is to return home to Marky Mark, her safety net. She's hashing this out with him. And then Valerie gets a text from Jack Stevens offering her a starring role on this new show.
Okay, am I hallucinating or do you see this too?
I do. Oh, wow, this is really cool.
It's a quality show.
And that's why Jack Stevens showed up at the soundstage. He's intrigued enough, like any showrunner, to say, who is this person that I'm suddenly now thinking of? Because she was noble in the meeting. She held up against the big three and thought that was impressive. He says, I started in sitcoms. So Valerie's not just working with a fancy writer, she's working with the Holy Grail. A human who remembers people with respect, somebody who started in sitcoms, and someone who has maybe 47 Emmys in his office on a desk.
Yeah.
And for all we know, he just wanted to see what her set was like.
Yeah.
She's number one, and
Right.
it's a nice set. That fits
Right.
his ethos.
And the interaction with the audience and how she dealt with the failure and made a joke. I mean, it's like you would see that person and go, yeah, I'll work with her. I'll build this show around her. You always are checking, who do you build a show around? Has to be somebody special, or else you're just wasting everything. But that's why Jack Stevens is important. And to her to get a thing and it's a text from Jack Stevens offering her a thought of a new show. Not only is it a scene that we've never seen. It's the first time we've ever been in Mark and Valerie's bedroom in real cameras without the overhead. They're fully human now. And then Mark puts on those adorable big glasses. But Valerie wins. And the other important line in the scene, oh, so now you're okay with AI? And she says, AI's here, Mark. Got to move on. That's Valerie, right?
That's Valerie.
That's Valerie.
So how's that?
That is really great, Val.
So before we get to that last scene, I do just want to talk about landing the plane on these beloved characters, specifically thinking about Mark and thinking about Jane and thinking about Billy. These were 3 big characters this season with 3 really big arcs on this season, on the series as a whole. And so can you talk about closing out those 3 characters and their chapters within this show?
Well, with Billy, I mean, that's a fantastic arc from a guy who was snapping the minute we met him. He looked on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And now he's channeled, you know, that self-destructive or energy into an exploding star. And it's his turn, and he's going to take care of himself. And as ridiculous as it sounds, he's happy, and Valerie's happy for him.
Yeah.
I think it's time for me to manage me.
Oh, wow. Big breakthrough.
And then they have the goodbye scene, which I love, which is like, this is our last show. And there's actually a meta thing
Yeah.
of Lisa
Dan
and
and
Danny
I.
looking at each other and saying, this is our last show. And then they both turn to the camera and say,
Jane, did you get that?
like, he's so the same. He's too much the same to be a good manager for Valerie. So we got a better manager, which is patience. Her arc is just ridiculously calm. She is not emotionally involved, really.
She's got boundaries.
Yeah.
We're ending Valerie with a manager who's 23 years old and has showed enough fortitude to be with her for all these years.
It's an important detail that she's there in 2023. So though we are meeting her at the start of this series, she's not new in Valerie's life.
She turns to Patience in the last episode of the entire series and goes, how'd you like to be my new manager? Like it's the greatest saving the planet. And she goes, okay.
You get that, Jane?
So yeah, I mean, Billy's Icarus rising. Will let way for Valerie to have somebody who is more focused.
Wow. To the right. She doesn't even look nervous.
Beautiful. Yeah, she's a pro.
So Mark, we wanted to end with Mark placed back in his same jet stream, but with new appreciation, maybe.
The minute you just release something and just say, okay, good, and accept maybe something good is going to happen.
Yeah. And then who was the other person?
Jane, but I think that actually brings us
to the very, very end.
To the very, very end.
Can I leave the room?
Do you need to?
She had to leave the soundstage.
I had to leave.
Look, we filmed the last scene on the last day, at the last moment. It just worked out that way, and we thought, oh, that'll be good. So much emotion came in when we opened that door. So much emotion. Writing the scene was kind of effortless. I saw Lisa in the writing room, and we were writing it, and she did it, and I was like, that's perfect. It was just...
No, and it made you cry.
It did, of course, because that's why it was perfect.
Get up and leave.
Yeah, in the writing room?
Writing room.
Yeah, in the writing room. It was.
Now tell the one. It's like, no wonder, oh, maybe that's why you haven't been able to sell this stock. You've been telling the wrong story. Now tell the one about Valerie Cherish.
That's when I died.
And he started crying, and I just...
That's when I started crying.
And I got up, and I said, right, that's right. Okay, I gotta get out.
Now tell the one about Valerie Cherish. This ridiculous comedy runner about Jane making the assassination of Valerie Cherish and a documentary about the next chapter of Valerie on Broadway. And then Valerie has had all of that in her mind and never understood why they didn't work. And then suddenly she says, oh, you've been telling the wrong story. Now tell the one about Valerie Cherish.
She's been telling the story about a victim, about a woman who's been victimized and humiliated by Hollywood. And Valerie kept saying it's a woman's triumphant return to herself, and, like, which seemed funny, and we're all laughing. That truly was what she's been doing.
Yeah.
And now it turns out succeeding.
And now in the last scene, we get to see Valerie's version of who she is. And it is enormously powerful to me. And the night we filmed it, it was efforted in a really heavy way.
So weird.
It was so weird. We were all there shooting with a real film camera because we wanted that idea of old Hollywood, black and white. We wanted the thing to be like Jane's thing is different than video and what we've seen. And it was one monologue without any cuts. Valerie just talks. There's not a cut until the very last end of the monologue. And Lisa got really emotional.
Just rehearsing it and saying, is that all you need? Okay, thanks everyone. Sure was fun. Oh. And I had to leave because I'm going to cry. Now I'm going to cry too late. I mean, as if I'm in so much denial. I'm not crying. It's the allergies. But and I thought, no, I can't, because we've got to shoot. Valerie doesn't feel like that. That's not what, I've got to get out of here. Valerie doesn't feel like that. Like, how do I get myself out of here? It was too real for what was actually happening, which was, this sure was fun. Now we're done. And I had to just leave without saying anything. I don't think I said anything to anyone, maybe, a PA, and just said, I have to just walk around outside for a little bit. And I just left.
It was interesting because it was very, it felt efforted. And I did come up to her at one point and I go, feels like a chore. She goes, I know, that's wrong.
It is a chore. It is a chore. I'm saying too much. I don't know. It's not where I think. I'm just saying something's wrong with the writing.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do.
And I can't.
There's nothing you can do. Actor, director, we're just like, okay. Writers, actor, director, we're just there in the moment. And I was like, okay, all right, let's go again and again. And
yeah.
But we both left going, I don't think we got it.
I was so ashamed.
Didn't see the dailies, didn't look at the dailies, was terrified till I saw the cut. Perfect last take, no need to cut away. Exactly the same way it felt in the writing room, but better because the color comes in and you have this weird magical thing when you're watching it. You go, what's happening? Oh my God, she's going from black and white version of Valerie, which is what everybody thought. Very black and white, cringe, to slowly she says, isn't that what being a human being is?
You have to make the best of it, right? You have to adapt. Keep going. Anyway, that's what I tried to do.
What will you both miss most about the making of this show?
Aside from the obvious and most important answer, which is working with Lisa, the thing I'll miss most is the Mount Everest climb of it. How can you possibly come back again and not fall? That's what I'll miss, that sort of obstacle and conquering of this weird gift.
There's a lot I'll miss, honestly. I love being Valerie and seeing Michael's face as Valerie and watching him improvise directing also so brilliantly, knowing something's missing and we need someone make a cross, muddy it up, put the camera here, like, so that we are that giant pillar in that scene with Brandon is blocking. You just see hair and a finger.
You're not a villain.
I mean, that stuff, when I see it, it's just really, it was so thrilling. And then seeing Michael just come out from behind the camera after a take and just go, oh, That was so good. Or a tear in his eye or something. Oof.
Yeah. To be that close to something that is special and working is a gift. And the idea that this whole thing came out of a failure, the business deemed something a failure.
How's that for coping?
And
Getting back up?
yeah, really? How's that for? Oh, you have to
Adapting.
agree to be humiliated. Lisa did not agree to be humiliated.
Did not.
And here we are 21 years later, doing, as Brandon said, a victory lap.
I think I speak on behalf of millions when I say thank you to you both for the gift of this show, and one as bountiful and beautiful as The Comeback. It's remarkable, and we're grateful. And I thank you both for sitting down with me for these 8 episodes. This has been the thrill of a lifetime.
It has been the thrill of our lifetime, too.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time and caring and loving it. You're one of the people that brought it back, along with others. I mean, we are really blessed. This is rare.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Yeah, sure was fun. Bye, doll.
Up next, Dan Bukatinsky, who has played Billy since the beginning, once Valerie's publicist, then a manager, then a producing partner. He's irony incarnate as the most self-obsessed person in the room, and this season, he keeps topping himself. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a delight. So obviously we meet Billy in season 1, but it's quite a journey we've been on with Billy, and where we really capped off this season was the introduction of Star Billy.
Yeah, and I think Billy's introduction to Star Billy, it happens this season. I mean, I think this opportunity that he saw as a producing partner, finally, this notion that finally, it was really something that I feel in a weird way was earned. At least the Billy inside of me and the way that I played Billy was with the fervor of season 1, this character who felt constantly like he wasn't getting his due and was willing to shove anybody who would stand in his way, protecting Valerie. And in season 2, sort of the hissy fit in the trailer where I quit, everyone leaves me, that this kind of baby, you know, this inner child thing. And season 3, this opportunity to like, finally, we're executive producers, and something emerges that is so much bigger than the loyalty to Valerie, clearly. I mean, he's a horrible producing partner.
Yes.
But he is seeing this opportunity as like, now it can finally be about me. And like Lisa said in an interview recently, it's really true. Like, everybody becomes Valerie Cherish. And now in 2026, everyone's got a phone and everyone's got the narrative that they can tell their own story whenever they want and have cameras on them whenever they want. So I think Billy finds his inner sparkle and is not going to stop.
That definitely seems to be the case. It's quite amazing to watch. You know, you're friends with Lisa. You've been friends with Lisa for quite some time. Is it difficult for you, Dan, watching Billy be so hard on Val this season?
Yes. For Billy to be as irresponsible as he was something that didn't come naturally to me. So it was kind of fun to play. It's like such a selfish, kind of petulant, like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And don't send me emails and texts. No one reads those. Like, that's so not me. So yeah, it was hard to be looking across at Lisa and be someone who is so disregarding of what her needs are. But for 20 years, Billy is ferociously loyal and chases opportunity for Valerie in a pretty devoted way. So this is a new little color of Billy that, to me, happens in that moment. You see it in episode 2 when he says to Brandon, played beautifully by Andrew Scott, so that's a yes, we're executive producers? And he's like, that's a yes. And he's like, finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Bye, thank you.
Executive producers. Finally. This is so exciting.
It is exciting, yeah.
And he means it. He means it. Like, oh, it's my turn. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? The parking space. He's all about the parking space.
Right. I think what I was wondering throughout the season was, at what point is Valerie going to give it back to Billy? He's not there for her when she needs him most.
Yeah.
And yet they get to this place by the end where it seems like Valerie's authentically happy for Billy on this journey ahead for him of sitting second row at fashion shows.
I think she is happy for Billy. I think she's happy for Billy, and she's happy to finally not have to be the one to part ways. But there's also 20 years. 20 years. That's a lot. There's a real relationship there.
Yeah.
I mean, if we think about the people in Valerie's life that sort of stayed in her circle, it was Mickey, and we lost him, and her husband, Mark, and her publicist turned manager turned producing partner, is Billy. So it really did feel at the end of the season that parting of ways was emotional, obviously. It was emotional on a lot of levels, but Billy and Valerie are both acknowledging that it's time for both of us to move on.
Yes, and I think one of the things that bonds the two of them and has from the outset is their shared love of show business. Because you mentioned Mickey and Mark, who are, very close to Valerie, but both of them more represent family. And I think her relationship with Billy is so singular because they have this shared love of climbing the ladder, and we got to keep going, we got to keep churning.
Well, yes and no. Mickey, like the uncle who is unconditionally loving and supportive of Valerie, also is employed by Valerie.
Yes.
So when she succeeds, he succeeds. When she gets a series, he's on a series. Mickey would love to multicam. She says that right out in front of Stage 24. So his love of show business and his ability to get opportunity from Valerie is a little bit where he and Billy had shared something. Really, it's Mark who is and thank God for that relationship of Mark and Valerie, which is really, there's nothing about the business that nourishes the relationship. It has been a problem in the past, but they are solid. And the notion of them being solid has really been I know it was really important to Michael and Lisa while they were writing it, but we in creating a world about someone who wanted to be in the spotlight as much as she did, it was never because she needed it. It's because she wanted it. She's fed by it, but it's not because she needed to make her health insurance. She had a solid foundation with her husband.
I'm just doing it for you.
Okay, I was just doing that for you.
Well, thank you for that.
When you learned that season 3 would be coming back, that Billy was going to be a part of it, I'm wondering how exciting it was to see that Billy would really have an arc this season. Obviously, we've met Billy in seasons 1 and 2, but there was less of a journey for Billy, so much as him showing up as a function for Valerie. Whereas this season, we really have this entire Billy storyline that sort of runs concurrently with Valerie.
Yes, it was very exciting. Listen, here, knowing what the germ of the idea was for season 3, quite a bit ago, but I wasn't there as they were cooking up the season. And Lisa would call me and say, I can't tell you what's happening, but it's so exciting. And I'm not allowed to tell you, but wait till you read the script and then I would get the scripts and I'd be like, oh my God. And so the notion of how Billy responds to the opportunity and where we meet him in 2026 was something that was so delightful for me. And then ultimately in 7, where he has to show up on that red carpet as Star Billy, and what that would look like and how we would do that and how we could thread the needle of it feeling not like he's emerging in some kind of non-binary way, but which is why she says, "Oh, you want to be a woman?" No, Val. I want to be. I'm not trans, Val. She's like, "Oh, you want to be an actor?" No, I don't want to be an actor. It's like she's not. She's like, "What the fuck are you saying?" I am a star. Period. And I will drive in the direction of anybody who's willing to acknowledge that. There I am. I'm on fashionline.com.
Billy was a star over the eye.
We should put our seatbelts on.
So I was really impressed and tickled, and it was really fun to play.
I'm curious, separating yourself from your involvement in the show, just as a fan of The Comeback, What do you think it is about Valerie Cherish that endears audiences, but particularly gay people, to Valerie so much?
I think it's two things. One is in that way that the gay community has also always responded to the glamour of Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli and Bette Midler and Madonna and larger than life talented women who are glamorous is something that exists inside of many of the young queer boys in particular growing up. And secondly to it, and maybe cousin to it, is this idea that when you don't necessarily feel 100% seen and heard and understood, you're disenfranchised as you grow up. You feel a little bit on the outside, trying to do good and be accepted by playing along and saying yes and to everyone and anyone because you can't risk not. There's something about Valerie Cherish that's very much like that. I'm going to spin this in my favor because I don't want to be rejected. And I think viscerally, and Lisa, because she's brilliant and she is like a satellite dish of the human experience, like she's able to emanate where the pain is, even when she's not saying anything painful, where the joy is, it just comes from her. So I think the gay community sees it in her eyes and in her experience. And that impulse to spin this towards the positive, nothing to see here, folks, nothing to see here. I totally relate to that.
You mentioned the brilliance of Lisa and how excellent she is in this performance, but you have known her for over 20 plus years. Your relationship predates the comeback. What is it about Lisa Kudrow that brings such gravitas to these performances while also still allowing them to feel very human and real?
Lisa's able to find the soul of characters that she plays in a way that I've never seen before. And I think she's brilliant. And sometimes I'm in a scene with her and I have to stop myself because I'm like, behind your eyes exists this character. And I cannot believe it. I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how. It chokes me up. But there's something about Lisa that's incredibly intuitive. Lisa really does believe deeply in the power of adapting, pivoting, moving forward, in kindness and in flipping the switch. If you have the opportunity to be disappointed or to look at it differently, then look at it differently. And that's Valerie in a nutshell. She's like the embodiment of this voice inside Lisa that isn't necessarily who she is as a person on a day-to-day, but is the voice of that satellite dish saying like, it's all right.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think, one of the things about season 3 that I feel has shifted in terms of the audience reaction is an appreciation and admiration for someone like Valerie and that capability of being able to spin. Because I think there are a lot of people who, it's just a switch, right? Like you just have to make the decision to see things that way. And I think you can look at Valerie now in that 2026 lens and be like, that's actually kind of remarkable.
She's a hero. I mean, I thought so in season 1. I'm like, anybody who can take a kick and spin it so that it doesn't feel like a kick, what an incredible superpower.
Yeah.
We all need that. But the amount Valerie relies on others, she thinks she needs Jane to shoot her and to make her look good, and she needs Mickey to make her look good, and she needs the writers to make her look good and to write for her. And the amount of power that Valerie allows the world around her to have and tries to navigate from step to step, rung to rung, hoping that those with the power will boost her. In season 3, you see she has it all along. You see that she is not getting the help she needs at every turn, and a job needs to be done. This has to move forward, and she has it in her. The confidence and the wisdom and the life experience that she brings to making it happen this season is remarkable and inspiring.
It's very sad to say goodbye to Valerie for all of us, but I imagine especially so for you because of your proximity. What will you cherish most about this experience?
Wow. I mean, I loved playing Billy. It was really fun and funny, and I got to play opposite Lisa and witness over 3 seasons. Also as a producer on the show with Lisa and John Melfi and the team that built it from season 1, and Tom Broker, the costume designer, and Kitty, and everybody who was part of this family that was part of something really special. I really cherish that. I really cherish how unique this show is, what the messaging of it is, even though it's like this little time capsule about where we are in the industry. But more than that, it's about where our personal power comes from, truly. Whether we're in the spotlight or not, whether we're driving our destiny, how much we drive our destiny, the show says a lot. And I feel very proud of that, but I'm also the family that we created, Michael and Lisa and me and the team that makes the comeback. It's very emotional and close and joyful. And so I will miss the joy that we had making it.
Ready for our first production meeting, executive producer?
Yes, I am. So fun to get a seat at the big kids' table, right? See how the donuts get made.
Well, Dan, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure watching you over the course of these years, but particularly in season 3. And I'm happy to know that Billy will be somewhere in Milan, in Paris, what have you,
Me
sitting
too.
second row at a fashion show.
Me too. Maybe eventually first
row.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
He can only wish.
Dan, thank you. Billy has been there from the beginning. He's complicated, he's frustrating, and he's necessary. The show simply wouldn't be the same without him. Now let's talk to Valerie herself for a final chapter of Always Valerie Cherish. Each week, we've gone directly to the fans, and the fans go directly to Valerie. These are questions from people who have feelings about Valerie Cherish, and honestly, don't we all? Valerie, for the last time, the mailbag is open.
So you see me?
I don't see you.
Okay. So sorry.
From Ellen G on Threads. Valerie, you seem tall. Are you?
Isn't that funny? Because, you know, coming up as an actress, not good to be tall because all the men are so short. Actors who are men are really short, you know. I think the younger ones are taller. Maybe they eat better. I don't know, you know. But I'm not 6 feet tall, you know, or anything like that. But about 5'7". So, yeah. I'm tall and I'm proud of it. I think that's what I should be saying, right? Love who you are.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm tall and I'm proud of it. There, I think that should be my answer.
This is from Karina F on X. Have you ever been typecast?
Well, yeah, I've always played a redhead, you know, because I was never blonde, right? Was tempted to, because they were getting parts, you know, back in the day. But no, blondes are always the dumb girls, you know, like the pretty dumb girls. And the brunettes are serious and not fun, right? But the redheads are fun, smart, sassy, trouble, you know? So, yeah, I'd say I was typecast.
You were typecast?
Sure,
okay.
But the best kind. The best kind of typecasting, yeah.
Valerie, we actually have a question for you from one of your super fans. You might be familiar with her because she actually worked on the same soundstage that you've been using for How's That?
Hi, Valerie.
Oh!
My name is Jen Aniston.
Oh!
And I'm such a huge fan.
No.
My question is it lonelier at the top or in the middle?
Okay, I don't even know what she asked me anymore because it's Jennifer Aniston, who's a fan. Well, why not? Well, why not? Why shouldn't she be? You know? Oh my, that's just thrilling. I can't even think because that was Jennifer Aniston, okay? I'm still Jennifer Aniston talking to me like a peer. Ah, she's so sweet. I mean, we are peers, so, right? And we were on the same stage. Yeah, we have a connection. Isn't that fun? It's more than just physical presence, never better. But what did she ask?
I think she just...
Could I have a copy of that? Just for my socials.
Yes, we will actually connect with Patience and have her help you out with that. Well, Val, thank you so much.
Great caption. Me and my new friend sitting together on the top.
That's funny because, yeah, it's a reference. Well, Val,
Yeah.
again, thank you so much. It's really,
Thank you.
it's been such a pleasure getting to ask you these questions, and from all of your fans, of which there are so many.
And you'll get me that Jennifer Aniston video.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Val. No camera, but you are here in every way that counts. It's been an honor to do these special segments with you. Huge thank you to Lisa Kudrow, Michael Patrick King, and to our guest today, Dan Bukatinsky. And of course, thank you, Valerie. You can stream all episodes of The Comeback on HBO Max and watch The Comeback official podcast on HBO Max, the HBO Max YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcasts. This has been our final episode. It's been 20 years of Valerie Cherish, 3 seasons, one of the most singular characters television has ever produced, and a finale that earned every single thing it asked us to feel. Thank you for being here for this one. I'll see you next time. This was an OBB sound production for HBO, hosted by me, Evan Ross Katz. Executive producers for OBB are Michael D. Ratner, Scott Ratner, and Toby Lawless. Executive producer for HBO is Allison Cohen-Sirokach. Producers for HBO, Becky Rowe, Kenya Reyes, and Aaron Kelly. Producer for OBB, Toby Lawless. Podcast manager, Tess Bartholomew. Research producer, Jesse Holland. Production manager, Kevin Lynn. Production coordinator, Terry Kraft. Technical producer, Bo Milkus. Studio coordinator, Elijah Matias. Assistant producer, Athena Cheris. Editor, Jesse Holland. Post-production supervisor, Mariana Crisostomo. Assistant editor, Mark Alcacid. Production accountant, Bobby Hanna and Zachary Steinberg. Editor, Sari Tiersky. Director of photography, Heath Gresham. First assistant camera and camera operator, Chris Piper. Key grip, Sam Satosky. Grip, Mark Sanders. Gaffer, Bailey Clark. Production designer, Michelle Hall. Lead man, Leo Rodriguez. Swing game, Amanda Hart, Miguel Gregory, Ian Alloway, and Darren Cantone. Sound mixer and editor, Josh Falcon. On-set mixer, Darren Bolin. Key hair and makeup artist, Brett Friedman. Hair and makeup artist, Kendall Shannon. Production assistant, Max Jordan. Associate director of social for OBB, Lenore Castro. Senior coordinator of social for OBB, Sharif Bakari. Special thanks to HBO Max, Concept and Design Studio, Matthew Truex, and Nicholas Vega of WB Archives. And Tim Meehan and Samantha Coatsworth.